Today I wanted to do a quick analysis of typography and logo design. And I found a little logo online, but I wanted to take a look at the type that was used here. And I know it was probably designed in a short amount of time, but there are some issues with the type and the symbol as well. So I wanted to show you some of my tweaks and details that could be used if this logo were to go to true design. It's a great idea, wine and sushi, and they have the little red circle at the top that indicates a sushi roll. But when I saw the type at the bottom, there were some issues with that, and immediately it was this space here on the right. My eye went right here because there's a balance, everything's out of balance here. And it looks like it was actually set flush left, even though the symbol is centered. And that's one thing too I'd like to talk about is when the symbol is giving you an idea of centering below, you'd want to set it centered. I set this again here in a similar typeface. Typeface is looks like a flared humanist sans serif. Here I set it just like it is on the left, the original. And you can see where this has this cavity on the right. Now below here I set it centered down here and tried to get everything kind of aligned in a box, which is typically what everyone wants to do is align. But the problem with that is that you have a rhythm problem in the spacing between the two words. And it's because of the eyes. Which is better for the logo? Is it better to have the straight edges on the sides, or is it better to have uniform tracking or letter spacing between each character? And I think it's the latter. Over here, I set it with a different typeface. And the reason why is because I started to contemplate, and I look at the symbol to put the type with, right? So, for one thing is the shape of this glass is more like a goblet. And I don't know who drinks wine out of a goblet, but so I made the glass flare a little bit so it's more like a wine and communicates wine. The next thing is that sushi is connected to Japan. And the nice thing about this red dot is it's hinting at the flag of Japan, like the single red dot. But it's also a tuna roll. So in order to connect more to the Japanese thing, I picked alternate Gothic here just to see if the weight would work more with the bulk of the weight of this goblet or the symbol here. And so this was just the first attempt. And then I kept going from there to here. Maybe it's a little wider. And it's a typeface like, let's see, I used Proxima Nova. And I would probably never use this here. But it's just to show you, again, a generic typeface that's not communicating anything like wine country or Japan or anything. It's very generic. The one on the left here that's in alternate Gothic works a little bit better, and it gives me more of a sense of Japan, but it might not be heavy enough, right? So what do? Over here, the study here is if I take Proxima Nova and it's condensed here and made it heavier and larger, that's the other problem that I have with this logo is the proportion of the type size to the symbol is off. So when you shrink them both down here on left and right of the large one here, you could see how the type in the original starts to disappear, right? And so the one on the right is this solution shrunk down, this original large version shrunk down. And you can see how the type is still intact and can be readable. That's the main thing here that I saw is the size of the type to the symbol, because that's always off. I see that always off out there. Either either too big or too small. You really try to want to keep it proportional. So what I did is, for this, one way is to get a baseline system going. Like I know this is going to be too big, but you see I'm aligning it to something. The type's going to be aligned at the bottom here and the bottom of the goblet, let's say, just as a start, right? So if I take these two down here and I shrink them, you can still read it, right? And that's the true test. So I need something in between that size, because really you're going to have to do both. You're going to have to do a vertical version and a horizontal version, and it could be for signage. And a lot of people will probably do this, right, and make the type larger and then the symbol smaller, but sometimes that doesn't work so well because now the symbol is almost too small, right? So what do? So you try to keep it logical and line it up to some kind of proportion in the symbol. And that usually works best because if this thing is a huge success, then you might have to design a brand guide or a style guide. And you're going to have to spell it out anyway, the proportions and everything. So even on these small upstart little logos for friends, let's say, you still want to have the mentality of designing for a style guide, a brand standard manual. So that's the reason why you want to keep everything proportional, because you may have to spell it out anyway. And it's just a good state of mind to be in for keeping everything in proportion from symbol to type. You know, the typeface choice might not be correct, but more the issue here that I wanted to talk about was the scale. And on one closing note, the way the colors are arranged. In wine and sushi, the red is referring to wine and sushi, but the and is emphasized. So I would always ask, why are you emphasizing and? Because it's the only thing. Whereas here, it would be more logical. The wine glass is black, and wine and is black. The area indicating the sushi roll is red, and so therefore sushi is red. That would make a lot more sense as far as discerning what color is what and why. Anyway, that's it for today, and I just wanted to go over that little issue with logo and type proportioning and layout and design. And thanks for joining me.